What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Now in tonight's video, I will be showing you guys how to completely delete your Mustang's EGR system. Now this tutorial will be for 99 to 04 2-valve Mustang GTs. It's actually pretty inexpensive. I paid no more than $30 to $35 for all this stuff, and most of this stuff you can get at your local hardware store or auto parts store. So enough of me talking, let's dive into what exactly you guys are gonna need. Okay, so ignore the mess in the background. I have been working on numerous other projects with this cardboard and just haven't gotten rid of it yet. But this is all you guys are gonna need. So first off, we have our SR Performance EGR Delete block off plate. Now, sometimes you don't need this cap because some kits do come with end caps, others don't, depends on what brand you go with. I know for a fact that Lethal Performance, their kit does in fact come with an end cap, but SR Performances didn't, and I didn't know, and I just ended up getting the SR Performance one, plus it was on sale. So if your kit does come with an end cap, then you do not need to get this, but if it doesn't, then you'll need to get this. The next thing that you guys are going to need to get, if, like I said, if your kit does not come with an end cap, is you guys will have to go to a hardware store such as Menards, Lowe's, Home Depot, and get a 5/8 end cap. Now you will find this in the plumbing section. You actually won't find this in like the normal nuts and bolts section. You'll have to go to the plumbing section. And you know, it's recommended that you get one with a wrench end, so that way you can actually, you know, tighten it down and it won't leak or nothing like that. Now the third thing you are gonna need are these vacuum connectors. I picked these up from my local O'Reilly's, and I think I paid only like $2.50 for this. Now you won't be needing all of these. In fact, you'll only be needing one, but they only sell them in a little mismatch kit like this. Now these vacuum connectors are connectors and adapters. As you can see, like right here, you know, going from a big size to a small size to big. You know, it comes in this whole kit, and then there are ones that are just, you know, same size, the same size. You will be using one of the same sizes. So other than that, you can keep the rest of this if you want, or you can just throw it out. Like I said, it's only like $2. And then the last thing that you guys are gonna need are vacuum caps. Once again, I picked this up at O'Reilly's, and it's around $2 to $3 for this kit. You will only be needing one of these. You won't need any more of these. So once again, you can either throw these away or keep them for your, you know, another project. I'm personally going to be keeping all of our leftover supplies in case something comes up, in case if I ever need these again or anything like that. Okay, so I really sloppily laid stuff here just because all this stuff's already deleted off of the car, and I didn't want to, you know, go through the whole process of hooking everything up just to re-unhook it, or, you know, just to unhook it. So the first step on what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to disconnect your vacuum lines. Now you will have a vacuum line right here on top of your EGR, which will be into your plenum like that. You're going to want to remove that vacuum line, and then over here on your EVAP control solenoid, you are going to have a pair of 2 vacuum lines. Just unplug those and pull those out of the way. Okay, now that you have removed your vacuum lines, you're going to want to unplug your EGR vacuum control solenoid and your DPFE sensor. The electrical connection, the one will be right here and the other one will be in the back like that. And then on your EGR tube, you will have 2 vacuum lines right here. They are both hooked up to your DPFE sensor. Go ahead and pull those off. And then right here are 2 bolts. Unscrew that and take your bracket out. Now this, I would personally hold on to this and keep this just in case you need to put it back on for whatever reason. Like if your state happens to be a state that tests for emissions. Thank God mine isn't, so we don't have to worry about this. I can just scrap this and get rid of it. But for the sake of this video and for right now, I'm gonna keep this. Now that you have your bracket and your 2 sensors and your electrical connections unplugged, your vacuum lines unplugged, and everything out of the way, now you can get into actually removing your EGR and your EGR tube. Personally, what I did in order to remove all this is while everything was hooked up, I got everything loose. Meaning this flare right here, I broke this loose while the EGR was still hooked up to my plenum. So it was a real, strong, everything was sturdy, and it was real easy to just break it loose. This is a 27 millimeter wrench or size, along with down at your manifold. Down at your manifold is also a 27. Thankfully, they're the same size, so it's easy. Now what you're gonna do, like I said, is break this one loose. The bottom one you don't have to worry about just yet. In fact, you can actually get to that last. That's what I did. Now that you have that loose, you can completely unscrew it and slide it backwards. It slides back on this pipe. Wiggle it and slide it backwards and get it out of your way of your actual EGR. And then undo your 2 EGR valve bolts and wiggle it and get it out of the way. So then the only thing that you should have left on the car that is EGR related, besides your vacuum lines and electrical connections, is the EGR tube itself, which is hooked up on the manifold. I will show you guys how to access that later on in the video when we put our end cap on, but for simplicity's sake and for time's sake, I'm not gonna worry about it. But pretty much, you just jack the car up, you take off your driver's side wheel, and you will have just a little bit of, you'll have a little gap, but it's just enough to get your 27 millimeter wrench in there and break it loose. And it's a flare. It's a flare nut. So on the bottom of it, you just break it loose, spin it off, pull the nut up, and then you can pull the tube. And from up top here, you're gonna have to fight a little bit, but just wiggle it, kind of move it around, and eventually it'll come out. Now that you have all of that removed, you can finally move on to getting rid of your vacuum lines. Now, I did look up, diagrams, and I did research, and the easiest way to do all this to delete your vacuum lines is actually separate this. So stock, these two will be together. They will both be in this tubing. So you'll have to pull this one apart. This one leads from your throttle body and plenum to your fuel pressure regulator sensor. You're gonna wanna separate that. Now this you will need. You will need this. So do not get rid of this and do not break this whatsoever. But these lines right here that run from your EGR Control Solenoid and then up to your actual EGR valve, this you can all get rid of. In fact, what we're gonna do is trace this all the way down right here to our Y connection. Okay, so now you're gonna wanna fight with it, but eventually it will pull out. And it's, it's in there pretty good. So you're gonna have to just kind of wiggle it around, pull it. Try not to break it. If you do, it's no big deal, especially if you plan on deleting this off your car for good. But for you people that might have to throw this back on there for emissions testing sake, be very careful not to break this off. I mean, I'm sure you can find a whole nother line online or at a junkyard or wherever, but either way, just be careful. These lines are kind of fragile. Okay, now with your vacuum connecting the kit that you got, where it has the each flared ends, what you're gonna wanna do is find the small one that fits in there. It should go in with a little bit of ease, but as you can see by pushing the flares in, it's stretching out the rubber, which is exactly what you wanna see. So that way it won't leak at all. Okay, so we have ran into a little bit of an issue. I didn't realize this, but our vacuum connectors aren't the same sizes on both sides, like any one of them. I knew obviously some of them were bigger on one side than the other, but I didn't realize that none of them were, equal on both sides. And our vacuum plugs that we got fit the small size. And what sucks is the small size is the only size that actually fits in our Y connector on our stock vacuum lines. So let's run to the store real quick, and we're either going to get different connectors or a different vacuum plug. So I'll see you guys in just a moment. All right, so we are back and we got the right vacuum caps this time. This time I bought an assorted kit and it has different sizes. So we should be able to use one of our connectors and then this cap, and it'll fit up perfectly. So here's what this looks like. We got a assorted vacuum cap kit, came with a bunch of different sizes, and we grabbed our adapter, or our connector I should say, and this one fits up to our Y connector down here, and then we got a cap that fit pretty snug, pretty tight on the end of this. And now all you guys want to do is you just push in like this. You take your connector well, let me get good lighting. There we go. You take your connector and you just slide it in there. I'm recording with one hand right now, so I can't really do that. Struggling a little bit here. But there you go. Once you get it in like that, then you have successfully sealed off your vacuum lines. They shouldn't leak, and you should not have any issues with it at all. Now, let's move on to the next step. So now that we have our vacuum lines capped off, next thing we can do is installing our EGR Delete Kit. Now, like I said earlier in the video, that some of these delete kits come with an end cap and some don't. Like I said, mine doesn't. So this is all that came with mine, was 2 Allen screws that came with lock washers, a gasket, and the actual block off plate itself. This is super easy to install. So these bolts are a size 6, and I normally use Allen sockets, but I don't have a 6mm Allen socket. So we're just gonna use the Allen key, and what you wanna do is just snug this down, make sure that the lock washer's, you know, completely flat. And this doesn't, there's no like specific way in torquing it, or not torquing it, but tightening it down. Just tighten the one side and then go about the other side. Make sure that the lock washer on both sides are tight, like that. Snug it and snug. And boom, there we go. Now we can move on to our final step, which is our end cap. Now the easiest way to get to our end cap here is to jack it up right here by the pinch weld, and then take the wheel off, and we will have direct access to our manifold. If you're looking at your wheel well like this, you're gonna have to be getting in right here in this small crack. Now it is hard to see, and I'm gonna try to pick it up on camera here the best that I can, but it's, where is it at? Okay, I found it. So you see our manifold, or our mid-pipe flange. Well, it's right in front of it there. It's that fitting that's sticking out of the manifold. That is where your EGR tube will be hooked up, but I've already removed mine, so it's not there. I'm not gonna record this bit just because I can't get a good camera angle, but we are gonna put our end cap on and tighten it down. After a little bit of fighting with it and whatnot, we finally got our end cap on, and we've tightened it down with our wrench. Now we can put this wheel back on and lower the car. And there you guys have it. You guys have officially fully deleted your EGR system off of your 99 to 04 2-valve Mustang. With these electrical connectors here that plugged up to our sensors, which we no longer need, you guys can do whatever you want with that. You can either cut the wires and use a butt connector on each of them. You can keep the connectors and just tuck the wires. The choice is yours as to whatever you guys want to do. Personally, I haven't decided what I want to do with it yet, so that's why I'm just leaving them exposed like that, how they are. As always, guys, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Comment down below if you guys want to see anything else, anything different, anything with our truck, anything different with the Mustang that we're not already planning on doing or are currently doing. Be sure to like the video. Share this with your friends, share this with everybody. Help me grow this channel into something amazing. Thank you guys, and have a good night.